welcome to another video. So last time around we looked at a couple of very simple Python examples. What I want to do next is look up uh, another example where we get to plot our data. Okay, so I'm just going to specify some data. The reason I put underscore is because I want the variable name to be somewhat readable. If I don't put it, if I put a space in between, that would give me an error. The variable names have to be without any spacing and special characters, but we could do with underscore, and that makes it readable. So I have some data here, and I'm going to think of this as my y-axis, and I could always have something on my x-axis, for example years. Okay, so I could do this and I could do that. So I get my data set in. Okay, I've run this code, command enter or control enter to run the cell. Always press the play button. You could always use either of these. Okay, so with that being said, what I want to do next is just plot this data, plot my x and my y. Okay, would this work? Well, it turns out we have an error because plot is not a function that is built in. It's not defined as such. So I would need to do something to access the plot functionality here on Google Colab. What we can do is we could import this function from a library. A library is a compilation of multiple methods and functionalities, and different people have written codes for it to make our lives easier. And one of the things that I could do is I could use an import command here to import a library. In my case, I'm looking for a matplot library which has a pyplot functionality. Now I could use this as it is, and I have certain options here as well for my plotting, and these are default options that are also like given to you, recommended to you. But even if I ignore all of that and I use this uh, to plot, and I could import matplotlib.pyplot and use the plot functionality from this library to plot my data. Would this work? Should this work? Yes, indeed, it should work. It does work. But to make my life simple, one of the ways that people do is use PLT, right? Import this library and its functionality as PLT, and then that way I don't have to write the entire thing. I could just do plt.plot. Okay, so this makes my life simple because I don't have to repeatedly write this entire thing every time I'm importing. I could just do plt.plot. And the reason I say I don't have to do it every time is because I'd be using PLT quite a lot of times, because here is where I get to type in the title of the plot. Okay, so if I need some title of the plot, I would say data against years, for example. So that's my title. I would need to specify a title, and I get my title here. I would need also a y label, for example. What's going to be specified on the y-axis, right? And what's on the x-axis. So I might need some labeling there. So for each of these, notice I need to access the functionality from this library. So having to write the entire thing, it's simply more convenient for me to import it as PLT, or anything, could be anything, and could just simply use that, place a dot to specify we're accessing the plotting functionality from PLT or the matplot library, the title function as well, the y label. Y label could be my data values, PLT x label could be, and since this is just a string and this is something, whatever I write here is actually going to show up on these axes. Okay, so for me it's not whatever, the x-axis is years, and if I run this I should be able to see years, data values, data against years. Okay, so I get that. Now, are these two sufficient? Yes, these two are in fact sufficient, but I could always use some additional functionality, such as say width, line width. I could use line width 4 to increase the line width maybe. Now these lines are bold. I could use something else such as color and specify that to be black, for example, and then you would see the line in black. I could specify a marker type This could be something as these circles. These seem to be, let's reduce the line width to see if we can, yeah, so we see these circles, right? And then there are a bunch of host of other options that we could use that are part of this plot functionality. But essentially, we are plotting x-axis data against this, and we have this y-axis data. So we have x and y, which we are looking to plot.